You know, my first guest reportedly once said that, he said, quote, I'm out of step. I'm not a religious fanatic. I don't use drugs. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm reasonably sane. Now, who could have said that? Would you ever believe Frank Zappa? That's who said it. Here he is, Frank Zappa. I gotta tell you, first of all, it's great meeting you. I've always been a fan of yours, long time. And one of the things, you know, recently I became reunited with a fan of yours when you started in with the censorship business. That when the lyrics were being challenged in rock and roll music. Mm-hmm. Now, do you feel that lyrics of a song really can sway people, move people around? In a negative way, I mean.
I don't think so. There's no science to support it. It's, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's pure fantasy.
Mm-hmm. You know? What about, you know, they had all these, that there were sex lyrics and all that, and...
So what? Sex is good for you. And the idea that if somebody writes a song about suicide, that you're going to hear it and kill yourself. I mean, where is the science to support this? I mean, sometimes people just get carried away with their, you know, hobby projects, and I think that there was a little bit of that going on last year.
Well, when they say that, you know, it's always been the idea since the 50s when rock and roll first hit that rock and roll was driving kids crazy and disturbing, that the music itself.
Well, you have to look back at what those early pamphlets were and who was distributing them. They were distributed by racist organizations and with a fundamentalist religious bent. You know, saying that, you know, all of the early bias against rock and roll started off as a racist bias. And then as rock and roll started to be performed by white people, then that shifted to something else. But, you know, at the heart of it is a kind of a sick attitude toward music and toward what people do for enjoyment. People are entitled to enjoy themselves. You have a right to enjoy yourself. You do not have the right to hurt somebody else while you're enjoying yourself.
Well, when you get down to, you take the great classical music that was written, some of the most beautiful music in the world, and at that time they had the Crusades, right? They had all that wild, you know, they had the 100-Year War.
Yeah, they had all that stuff, you know, but...
It wasn't the music, right? They weren't listening to Mozart and saying, let's go out and kill Spain.
You want to... Yeah, well, you know what has caused more wars, more unhappiness, more misery, more problems than anything else in history is religion. That is the basis of it. But it is not, but you have to look at what really happened there, because it is the people who sell you the religion and the way that they try and mold you into using their product. And when they say, we got the only one, ours is the best, those people don't believe like we do, we must kill them, that leads to war.
Yeah.
You know, and it still happens today. The Middle East, it's, you know, it's religious war.
If you kill someone, even if you convince them you're right, they're now dead.
That's right. Yeah, so,
you know, it doesn't make any sense, right?
It's a strange form of social engineering.
Yeah, right. Well, when you have, now at the same time you have the classical music, now you have like country and western music.
Yeah.
Now in the area, country western, part of the country where we have that music, you still have crimes.
Right.
Those people aren't listening to rock and roll.
They're listening to cowboy music, right. Okay, but it's not the music that makes them do it. It is something else that makes them do it.
Yeah, it isn't like these, you know, these whatever they're calling these murderers now, chain murderers, or, you know, the mass murderers. They give them a new name. It used to be mass murderer. Now it's something else. A chain. Guy's not sitting there.
Serial murderers.
Serial. That's a better name.
Maybe
serial.
It's in the cereal.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, the NutraSweet murderers.
Right. Well, or artificial sugaring.
That's
you know,
could
right?
be.
The artificial
Think about
sugar.
it. How many people you know drink only diet products, diet soft drinks? Check this. Next time you talk with somebody and in the middle of the sentence they forget what they're saying, ask them if they just had a diet soda. Try it. You'll find out that I have a theory. NutraSweet ruins your memory. You know? And that's why they put it in everything. You know?
But then if you ask them, if you say to them, you know, like guy says, you know, I wanted to tell you about, and he forgot, and you say, well, did you just have a diet soda?
I don't remember.
He's going to say, I don't remember.
That's right. That's your proof.
Yeah, and there's your proof, right? Well, when you have, now, as far as your kids, you have 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
As far as your kids, do you let them listen to any kind of music they want to listen to?
Sure.
You don't censor anything?
No.
You just let them, let's say, all right, you listen to it, no matter what the words are in it.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel that there's any reason that they...
If I had my way, they would listen to more instrumental music, but they're not interested in it. You know, they're let's say they're normal teenage kids to the extent that they like normal teenage music. I wish that they were more interested in classical music or things like that, but I'm not going to force it on them.
Yeah.
And eventually, if they stick around music long enough, they'll come to discover it for themselves. But I don't think there's anything in the lyrics that's going to hurt my kids or anybody else's kids.
Right. Yeah, it has to, the motivation is inside of the person.
Right.
I mean, if you say, go out and kill the mailman, unless the guy really hates the mailman, he's not going to do it.
Or unless he's had too much NutraSweet.
Yeah, right. Okay, we're going to come back and meet 2 of Frank's kids right after this. Okay, welcome back. Before we introduce the next guest, I got to ask you, I mean, I like the tie, what I see of it.
Yeah.
But you got like half a tie.
Here's the whole thing. I got to tell you that I ate lunch in a restaurant today because, well, it was close to the hotel and they have very good food, but I walked in with no tie. So they stopped me at the door and they said, you'll have to wear a tie, and they had a whole rack of them in the coat room. And they gave me my choice, and this was the best looking one that they had in there. And the food was great, and after it was all over, I offered to buy the tie from the people at this restaurant, and they were kind enough to actually give it to me for free. So I would like to say, if you need a good looking tie, go to Le Cirque on 65th Street, okay? Tell them I sent you.
Now, rather than me introduce, why don't you introduce our next 2 guests?
Okay. 2 of my children, Moon and DWEEZIL.
Moon and DWEEZIL. Now, I got to ask you something. What's he like as a father? We see him as a human being and as a tie salesman, but what's he like? Is he a little offbeat, would you say?
Nah.
Really strict.
No. Really?
Only
Makes
with your
us listen
friends,
to
man.
like classical music.
Well, I can't get that
I'm
aria out
telling
of
the
my
truth,
mind.
because when she was #1, and when she was little, she used to dance to all Stravinsky records and outs. I mean, didn't know what it was, but she would dance to it. But now it's all over.
Now heavy metal. I like to dance to that best. I don't know.
When you
And
play,
look what it did to her hair.
when you play the music. First of all, how do you introduce Frank, like your friends? When someone comes over, do you say, this is my dad, Frank Zappa, this is my dad, how do you introduce them? What do you...
Well, I mean, you bring the person in, and whoever it is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of a friend offhand, but you say, well, this is my dad, Frank, and this is my friend, whoever, Larry. I don't have a friend named Larry, but if I did, that's what I would say.
Frank Larry.
Yeah, friends with Frank, Larry.
Larry Frank. Hi,
Yeah.
how you doing? I go back to work, they go up to the kitchen.
When you work in the studio, when you do you ever help your father with any of his work? Or is he let
He
you
won't
in?
let us.
He won't let you in?
No.
We make butter,
We have a cottage industry.
yeah.
Well, when you're at home and you're playing your music, does Frank ever come in there and say, like caught noise? That's passed on generation. Every generation calls the other generation's music noise.
No, I don't call it noise, but I do ask him to turn it down because the way the studio is set up, sometimes if I'm in the room mixing, we have a live echo chamber. He can be out there playing the guitar, leaks into the live chamber. So then I have to say, look, we're mixing stuff. But the rest of the time, if we're not, he goes in there and it's cranked up. You guys think you want to hear some volume one day?
Well, the purpose of this amp is so you never have to leave the continent. You can be heard in Europe, folks. It's like...
But it's not noise.
Yeah. What's your favorite remembrance growing up in the house?
Growing up in the house? You go for that one, Bill. Go on. Well, it's been the same house all our life, too. Yeah.
I give up. I don't
Paganini,
know.
what was that? What?
I don't
I don't
remember
know.
growing up in the house because they're always going out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what kind of guidelines do you set as a parent?
Well, give me an example. Give me
Like,
some-
let's say they're going out. They're going out at night.
Well, I like to know who they're going out with. I like to know where they're going. I like to know when they're coming home, and I like to make sure they do come home. Other than that, what they do when they go out there is left up to their own devices.
Well, isn't it like, you know, do you ever find yourself doing the things that you didn't like done when you were a kid? Like where you're going, who you're going with, where you're going to be, and what time you're coming home?
Well, I try not to, but, you know, ultimately you have to be worried, because we do live in California, and you know what kind of people they have out there, that whenever you go into the street, there are certain dangers that a person is exposed to in a psychotic environment, and so you have to be concerned about it.
So we took riot awareness courses.
Yeah, learning how to work with tissue.
I got almost arrested in L.A. for walking.
Yeah.
I stopped and got a hamburger and an orange Julius, and the cop actually drew his gun. He said, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "Well, I don't know what you call it out here, but when you put hot things in your mouth, it's called eating back east. And moving one leg at the other, we call it walk. I'm walking and eating." But I thought he was going to fire at me.
Well,
They're like training Berlin out there, right? Or something.
Yeah, we do have the meanest police on the planet. They'll stop you if they think you're good looking. It's horrible. I mean, it's never happened to me because
but let's be fair. No, you really have to be fair, though, because Los Angeles is a big place, and I think that we have fewer policemen per capita than they do in New York City. I mean, it really is totally understaffed. What they need is more policemen in Los Angeles so that they can spread the workload around and these guys don't pull a gun on somebody eating a hot dog.
Well, what you have in L.A., though, see, you need more cops here, because if we have 12 people dead, there are 12 suspects. Out there, there's just one guy who heard a dog talking to him, you know.
Yeah.
So you only have to catch one guy. We got to catch 12 here.
yeah, but it's like a more widespread area. So
They have to drive farther. They catch
That's
one
right.
guy. Whereas in Virginia, the guy who hears people talking to him is running for president.
If you had one,
Figure it out.
if you had one hope for your kids, what would it be? What do you see as the future?
Well, first of all, I hope that they do not have to spend any more time under a Republican administration, and I hope that after we get that little matter straightened out, that people take another look at the Constitution and see what it's really worth and protect the thing, and then that'll give you a chance at some happiness.
Give them a shot. All right, we're going to take a little break and come back right after this. Okay, welcome back. Well, I want to thank the Zappa family. Actually, it's only half the family right
Yeah,
there.
so get the other couple on there.
Yeah, next
You're
time,
pretty good,
bring the wife and the other two kids.
Yeah, get them all on. We'll just
Tag
roll
team
around.
wrestling.
Yeah, and we'll have more seats. Everybody will come on. But I want to thank you. I think you're terrific, and you're definitely. I'd like to have you as a father myself. You know, I think you'd be like, especially where you.
I'm going to give you this tie.
I'm going to wear it, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, good night, everybody.